Bishop Margaret WANJIRU, asante sana for joining us.
Good morning and hello everybody.
We're glad to have you here. We know that the expressway has been opened. President Uhuru Kenyatta commissioned it yesterday.
Yes.
And then the company then responsible for making this happen then went ahead and said, all right, now that he's commissioned it, everybody can go ahead and use that this morning. Did you use it this morning?
We didn't use it, but where we exited, I don't know what happened. I think then we joined it somewhere because we found ourselves at Syokimau. and I was like, I was busy on the phone. So I looked at my driver and asked, did you pass KTN? Did you pass Standard? And he was like, yeah, I think we have passed. And we were really far. We had gone past the airport. We had gone all the way to Syokimau.
Well, look at it like this. You had an opportunity to see different parts of Kenya in the morning. So that's a good thing sometimes. So yes, the expressway has been opened after the commissioning by His Excellency President yesterday. And so that's back open for use after that trial period and the commissioning has taken place. Asante sana for joining us this morning.
And I think we are some of those people who will suffer getting lost for a while until we get used to the expressway, I tell you.
It'll happen.
But it's good. Yeah, thank you for welcoming me.
You're in the hot seat yet again.
Yes, I'm in the hot seat again.
Yes. And, you know, questions that are being asked by very many Kenyans, by many people who are responsible for making the decisions as to who their leaders will be. This is interesting because for the longest time, and for the longest time in politics, a year is a long time, Kenyans have been told, given the promises over and over again.
Yes.
But now the responsibility of taking those things having been said and turning them into action now rests on the shoulders of Kenyans when they will make the vote.
Yes.
Come Tuesday.
Yes, come Tuesday. And as I found him saying, we are at a place where the voters are able to make independent decisions. Yes, money has its place and its play to the people. Of course, we are selling our agenda and our vision. Then there is the gender balance, the male-female figures. Then there is the old politics. We were there before, what we did before, our track record. So all these things are coming into play and decisions will be made coming on the 9th. However, we also have the party politics taking their place, doing their play in the ground. Because a few weeks ago, about 2 or 3 weeks ago, there were no signs that people will be voting 6-piece. But now it's shaping up. Now it's shaping up that even you go to a place, people say, oh, before we were only considering you, but now we'll go the whole lineup. So even party politics are shaping up.
Why do you think that change has been? Why do you think that previously people were going to select one person? People were going to select Margaret WANJIRU.
A couple of weeks ago, people were looking at the track record. A couple of weeks ago, people were looking at this one person, the image of one person. But now when people go out together and campaign together, then the crowd, the voters start looking at the whole team. And there could be 1 or 2 people they don't agree with, but for the sake of the others, they say, fine, we'll do party politics here. Then also, people have been able to understand, like, for example, the 2 main coalitions, our coalition, Kenya Kwanza, I'm in Kenya Kwanza, and then there is the Azimio coalition. So the coalition now is coming into play. So people are looking and saying, oh, you're going to go in the Kenya Kwanza or with Azimio. They can make their choice. They can look at the coalition as a team.
There are some, though, that, you know, as we have this conversation, there are some who are looking in this week, looking in the next coming days, and they're not sure which way to go.
Yes, they're undecided.
Why? Yeah, undecided.
Yeah.
I mean, it's interesting. Yeah. With all that has been said and done, one may assume, falsely, that they should have been able to make a decision by now.
The undecided are people that they're not politically minded. They don't think about politics. Some of them don't want to get involved. And believe it or not, that's where the Christians are coming from. Most of the very religious people would rather stay at home and pray. But this time it's not the same. Now people are getting out of the prayer room to the voting station. Before it was like, let me just pray and God will do something. You see, God will not vote for us. And then also, as one of my colleagues said yesterday, God will not rig for us. So God is not voting, neither is he rigging. So after you do all the prayers as Christians or Muslims, these religious people, after all the religious people do their prayers, get out and vote. And vote people of good morals, vote people that can keep their word, people of integrity, people that are honest, people that are transparent, and people that will be available. You see, it is also wrong to vote in leaders who, after the voting and the swearing in, you never see them again. They disappear. People that needs to be voted in this time around are people that are available to go back to the community, to go back to their counties, go back to their voters, and work for them. But this voting and then you disappear will not work this time around. We must consider the availability of the leader after the elections. Now, if you cannot see me transparent at this time that I'm campaigning, then I'm not going to be transparent once I'm elected. It is important for the voters to choose people of integrity, accountability, transparency. You promised something. Did you keep your word? You've been there before. Do you have a track record? And if you have a track record, like yesterday, I was in Madare, where I've been an MP before. The projects I found, I was actually very happy. Not really a good thing, but I was happy for myself. I was happy for myself. It sounds a bit selfish, but it's not. I was happy for myself because I found the projects I initiated, the projects I implemented. Some of them still have their writings on. They are reading 2012. I mean, the projects I did then as the projects that they are benefiting from today. Meaning that if then I did not bring in the water, we would still have no water in Madare. If I didn't bring in the electricity, we would still have no electricity in Madare. If we didn't open the roads, we opened the roads and left some of the roads like the main bridges, which we didn't have the budget. We did them, but we didn't complete. Up to date, they've never been completed. So you wonder, really, the leaders that have come after, let's say, especially the last 5 years, what have they done the last 5 years? What do they have to show? If what we see is what I did, so then what happened to what they have done? It tells you they have not done anything and they have not been visiting their communities. Then we also have the tribal politics doing their play at this time around. Tribal politics will create some form of balance because what is happening right now, if I may look at the Nairobi politics, is that some communities feel that they have been shortchanged. Reality is hitting that, hey, here we have been shortchanged. So they will prove it during the voting that even if they manage to get one person at the top there, that is what they will do. But as communities, and especially the bigger blocks, the bigger voting block, they say we cannot do without one of our own at the top there. So tribal politics are also shaping up. All these things are coming to play. But you know, Nairobi is cosmopolitan.
Yes, it is.
And we are urban. We play differently from the rural politics, and also the agenda, the vision, the mission. What do you stand for? Who do you represent? And one aspect that we cannot overlook, you know, I knew it, but I never thought it was major. As going out there to campaign, I found out it's a major factor, is the morals of the youth. The real parents, my age, parents that are real mentors, parents that want to raise their children in a good atmosphere are really concerned about the morals of our youth. The morals are very down. Most of our youth are in drugs. Most of our youths are in alcohol. Most of our youths are wasting their potential away, and this has to change. The situation is so bad that if it doesn't change, we are losing the next generation. Now, me as a mother, I can't afford to lose the next generation. That one I can't afford. Yeah.
So what is your focus? Should you be given the seat, what is your focus for the next 5 years?
My focus for the next 5 years, first things first. Our youth must be removed from where they are. That stagnancy, that wasting away of potential, that place where they are doing absolutely nothing. In the Sheng kwa kijiji tunasema wanakanga tu hapo juu ya mawe. They really do nothing important with their lives except chew mogoka for the whole day. So number one, we must get the youth out of those stones they sit on, out of wasting their potential, give them jobs. Those who are totally destroyed by alcohol, get them to rehabilitation centers. And of course, we are also suffering the problem of teenagerhood pregnancy. Teenager pregnancy is too much in our communities. So we must take our girls into safe houses, because some of them are pregnant, but they are not safe where they are. So safe houses in Nairobi are very disappointing. We only have one, and yet we have such a crisis. So we have to increase the safe houses. That said and done, we have a big problem of water in Nairobi. We have places where water comes once a week. And yet, to my understanding, and I've not been in government for a while, but to my understanding is that the Northern Corridor pipe is ready. So why it has not been opened, I don't know. However, it's just another 1 week. After the swearing in, we will find out. People, if they elect me, the first thing I'll do is to find out what has happened to the Northern Corridor pipes and why aren't we having enough water, because we need to solve this problem of water. NMS did some boreholes, but most of the boreholes didn't work, and those that did, the waters are not clean. So that now has also to be addressed. Then we go to education. I'm hearing some of our principal politicians promising free education. You know, Kenyans are so sick and tired of free education. Why? Because we have been promised before, and it didn't work. We were told it's free. By the end of the day, we pay more than we used to pay when it was never free. So I'm not going to bet on that free education agenda. Mine is the MP and the MCAs, and the MCAs are working directly at the county, which means I, as a senator aspirant, or as a senator candidate, once we are elected, and now I'm a senator, I push for the agenda, I push for the money, I push for the budget to come to the county. Once the money is there, my oversight role means that I need to know what that money is doing. I will push for the increase of bursaries, the increase for bursaries for our children to go to school. I will also want to see some improvement there in the fact that I would like to see the bursaries being given on the right time. The right time means when children are going back to school, not after they have been chased from school. Yes.
Bishop.
Yes.
Before I ask the question that I want to ask, can I ask who it is who is supposed to be responsible for putting up safe houses?
It is supposed to be the county. The county can put up safe houses. The county can put up rehabilitation centers. You cannot leave that for Ministry of Health. You cannot leave that. That is a social problem. You cannot leave it for who? The national government. It is the same as we are saying about business. We, UDA party, the Kenya Kwanza, we have promised that we are going to put 20 markets in Nairobi. We cannot leave all the 20 markets to the national government. Yes, the national government can do probably 10 or 8, but the county government should do the bigger part of it. So the 20 markets will be built, and the county government must participate in that work. So putting up of the infrastructure, and also let's look at health. What has the national government done? The national government, in some of the clinics, some of the health facilities, they put the infrastructure. But those clinics, those health facilities do not have doctors, do not have medicine. Now, the county government should come in and put the medicine, the drugs into those health centers.
Are we talking about within the county of Nairobi? Are we talking about we had the health director for Nairobi Medical Services here,
Yes.
and he gave us a really good rundown, a footprint of what they've actually been able to do.
Yes.
So are you looking at now an overhauling of that system?
No,
Or
they are
complementary to
those
what
health-
they've already been able to do?
There are those health facilities that belong to the national government. There are those that belong to the county government. A good example is Mama Lucy. Mama Lucy is a county government facility. So the drugs in Mama Lucy, the drugs in some of these health facilities should be given, should be bought and supplied by the county. And the county governments, the governors should not lie. They have been buying drugs. They have been paying. The problem is not the buying and the paying. The problem is that there is no stock check. There is no systems. There is no management that can even manage the HR, the human resource of the doctors and the nurses that work in these health facilities.
Actually, the Director of Medical Services in the NMS agreed with you up to a point and said, yes, they don't have enough drugs. But the problem that NMS faced was there was a backlog of debts.
Yes, they haven't paid.
Yes, that were owed to KEMSA.
Yeah.
It's a problem that literally every county government in this country.
But what happened to the drugs that they bought? Because people never received them.
What happened to the drugs that they said they bought? Because they said they bought it.
All right, we continue with this. Let's just take a break on that, and we come back with this conversation. Getting into that, our guest this hour is Bishop Margaret WANJIRU, senatorial aspirant in the UDA on a UDA ticket, and we will take a break 8:30, and we come back right after this.
This is the Situation Room, the only way to start your day.
So we're looking at wooing the undecided voter, and CT had a question before he asked the question on the state house, on the safe houses within the county. So going towards that.
The question I wanted to ask was, when you say there's a leaning towards 6-piece voting, I understand the concept.
Yes.
But are you saying that people have stopped looking at the individuals they wanted to vote for?
We are saying that the manifestos that have been presented to the common mwananchi by different coalitions, by different, in this case, just basically 2 coalitions, those manifestos are beginning to be considered by the people. The people are looking at who among the 2 coalitions will work better for me, which works better for our region, which works better for our county, which works better for our constituency. They are looking at that.
You know, Bishop, you're a seasoned politician.
Yes.
And when I said you understand people, your day job.
I deal with people.
Yes.
Day to day.
Your day job.
Yeah.
Politics aside.
Yeah, the bishop.
You deal with people, and you've been dealing with, by the time you get to bishop, you've been dealing with people for a very, very long time.
Yes.
More than what you call the so-called politicians.
Yes.
Because most of the interactions with people are seasonal.
Yes.
When they need, but not you. You're on a 24-hour call. Now, because of this understanding that you have of people, I want to ask you this question. Do you honestly think that people are going to change the way they traditionally vote?
I really think that people will change. Number one, I think people will go for quality. I also believe people will go for track record. People will go also for the manifestos, as I said earlier, but also people will go for the integrity factor. People will look at individuals and look and see if that person is there, then we can trust that team. A good example is, as I said earlier, the MCAs are not independent from the governor, the senator, and even probably to some extent the woman rep. So these 3, the governor, the senator, and the woman rep, really also dictates who will be elected as MCA, because the MCA will work with them. Now, the way the system is, CDF coming into play, the MP will also have to have a relationship, a good working relationship with the 3 county leaders. That way now people are looking at, can so-and-so work with this one? Can this work with that? Then also there must be somebody. There is something we say when we are campaigning. My colleagues will always say, when we go wrong and things are going the wrong direction, Bishop Margaret will always call us round the table and make everybody sober up. So they are looking at who will bring in the equation that we need here, who will reason out for us, who is there for us, who can we trust. The element of trust and honesty is very important.
But if that's what people are looking at now, what is it that they used to look at before? Was it not the same aspect?
Most of the time they were looking at the tribes. My people, Mudoito. They were looking at the tribe. Is that my tribe person? Is that my tribe person? But for some of us who have a track record, we have proved to be non-tribal. So people are looking at us with the track record, the work we have done. They are looking at us with the transparency, the accountability. Can we hold accountable for the resources at the county? Are we really going to have zero corruption at the county? Is the money going to come out of the national government to the county, and how will the money be spent at the county? Because that is key. The problem is never really getting the money out of the national government. The problem is how the money is spent at the county. So are we going to have our eyes there to see how that money is spent? And the answer is yes. And if people look and see, yes, Bishop Margaret is there, we are going to have that money well spent, I am sure this seat I'm winning.
Corruption has been a big issue
Yes.
continues to be one.
Yes.
I mean, we're told about the kind of money that is taken on a daily basis. We've seen even leave alone the statement that the president made.
Yes.
We see this. The EACC in the last 1 month has been telling us horror stories of the amounts of money that have been leaving. Individuals in state office, in public service,
Yes.
stealing. From what I hear you say, we're looking at a situation that because the likes of you then would be in a particular government office,
Yes.
that we will see a dramatic reduction
Of corruption.
this thing that has been eating away at Kenya
Yes.
for the last 40 years.
Yes.
How would that happen?
Let me use the county government of Nairobi as an example. We have a budget that runs to approximately 35 billion. By the end of the day, coming from the revenues and coming from the national government, we have an income of about 30 billion plus. So the budget is a bit exaggerated than the income. But I also believe that the budget can be cut down and the income can be enhanced. That have been said. Am I going to be the donkey that works so hard to get the money in and then allow the governor and the MCAs or the leadership now at the real county level destroying the work that I have done by being corrupt down there? That I will not allow. A senator has the authority to ask for a statement from any government agency or county agency when you see they are not doing the right thing. So we have this, for example, we have this project and the budget, I feel the budget of that project is exaggerated. I have the right to call for a statement, for the governor to come and explain himself or herself and say, this is how we are doing this project and this is the budget. I have a right to consult professionals and ask, is this budget exaggerated or not? Now, that way I am able to mitigate and say, here we can see the arm of corruption. We can see somebody is being corrupt in this agenda, and we are not going to allow it. So I have my authority of oversighting as a senator. That, leaving that alone, let's look at, we said we are building 20 markets in Nairobi. So let's take one market and say, for example, this market has been built in a particular constituency. Constituency A, the market is complete. The next agenda, the corruption is not only at the construction. The corruption would now come in at the distribution of that market. And how does the corruption come in? The people who build the market, now the officers begin to sell the space. They ask people to bring in money. They bring people from other county. And you are forgetting that we have very many hawkers in Nairobi. You are forgetting we have a problem of where people can do their business, especially the SMEs. So what are we going to do? The list that the real beneficiaries of these markets, the original list, I've worked as an assistant minister. And what we did, even when we build markets or we build houses, we had an original list, a data that says these are the beneficiaries. So good leadership dictates or demands that you follow up to the original list. The real people that you are building for are the real beneficiaries for these markets. It's not you build markets and then you bring rich people now to come and buy that space. It is we build market and give to the real beneficiaries. That is my role, to ensure that it is not somebody outside the county, and also it's not somebody who just came with some money and bought some space. It's not.
Many would call it a gargantuan task.
Something like that.
Because of what we've seen. And this
Yes.
is the thing. If we're talking about undecided voters,
Yes.
I offer that the reason why many people are undecided is because, unfortunately, and many, even those who are actually decided, is that you've seen the same thing
They're tired.
happen in a cyclical manner, in the same way, by oftentimes the same people.
They are fatigued.
And so they're waiting to see the one who actually has the will. And that's the thing.
Yes.
We can say, anything
Very
we want
good.
until the cows
Yeah.
come home, but who has the actual will to
Yeah.
get this thing done? Because it is an uncomfortable position to come and unseat what has been
Yes.
seated for decades.
You said it well, the will. I'll add goodwill. The goodwill for the people. The good faith to see that these projects benefit the people. The good faith to ensure that the actual beneficiaries really benefit from this. There is a project that was done some times back, some water project. And then after all the piping and all the water we had put, again, for example, in places like Mathare, then people came when the devolution was implemented. The first governor of Nairobi said we are going to change how this water is distributed within the slums. And they introduced something new. And with whatever they introduced, actually, by the end of the day, now the water totally disappeared. Now, if what we are doing does not help or enhance for the common mwananchi to benefit, then we are not doing the right thing. But for me, I'm for the people. And you know, I can't run away. As you said, I have a church. I have Jesus is Alive Ministries.
It's called your day job.
It's my day job, and people will come and find me there in the church and say things are not going right here and there. So I have to live up to the standards that we have set and deliver the agenda.
But the real problem here may not be you, one senator.
Yes.
There are other senators.
Yes.
Now, unfortunately, the track record of the Senate as well as the National Assembly, hey, in this last 5 years,
Yes.
not good.
I agree with you.
Because you have what you call task forces investigating into things that concern the country, like the Kemsa thing. And they talk tough, and they fire and brimstone, and they spit fire. Then you read the report and you wonder, what on earth is
What are
this?
they saying?
No
Because
names mentioned.
Nothing. Because the drugs didn't come into the country by themselves. All the kits that we needed, all these things that made up the scandal that we refer to as the Kemsa scandal, they didn't procure themselves. There were people involved. Not a single name. To date, the issue has been left suspended. Now, why I keep going back to your day job is because in 1992, there's a lady called Mary WANJIRU. She won on a Ford Asili ticket. She was MP for Kinangop. She was my favorite MP for a long time. Her, in the middle of parliamentary processes, she could break into prayer. People used to take off from parliament, literally run out of that particular house. She was a prophetess.
Maybe you are saying I should start prophesying in the studio.
The reason why I've brought in Mary WANJIRU
Yes.
is this. She lived up to a certain higher moral standard,
Standards.
and
Yes.
people knew she
Very
did.
good. People knew what she stood for.
Oh, they knew.
Very good.
They knew. So they'd rather just keep out of her way
Yes.
because they knew she was not going to get mixed up in their day-to-day
Yes, very
activities.
good.
Now,
Yeah.
there are people who say that, yes, the changes that we talk about don't need a committee. They need just one individual
Yes, who can change things.
making a stand
Very good.
and continuing with that stand. Now, are we saying that we can rely on you, should you become the senator, to be that person in that Senate who's going to make that stand?
Yes, sir. You can rely on me, the public can rely on me, and my track record is known. I will tell you the Mary WANJIRU story, why she didn't come back into politics. It was not because of herself. It was now because of the party politics. I can tell you I've also suffered because of party politics. It has gone to an extent I'm trying to think, this party politics sometimes don't drive us the right direction. But for what we stand for and the morals that we stand for, me, I enjoy it when I go to campaign and people out there speak to me about what I stand for. I stand for Christianity, I stand for good morals, I stand for integrity, and they can hold me accountable. I realize also there is the mother factor. Especially dealing with the youth. When you meet the youth, the way they treat, somebody told me in Embakasi South, you know Embakasi South where the houses were demolished, and there is a certain place where people don't enter, even politicians don't enter. This is the place where people are living in tents. Now when I went, they opened the road for me. And I asked, mnataka niingie? They said, yes, wewe ni mama yetu. Now that to me means a lot. That me as their mother, I can enter. But anybody else coming through that road, you can't pass a certain place. A certain area is blocked. Why? Because they have suffered so much and they have reached to a level whereas they cannot trust anybody. Now, for me to know that they trust me as a county mother, as their mother, that's a big plus to me. And I will not disappoint Nairobians. I will not disappoint Kenyans at large. My track record as a senator, as we start after these elections, you will just keep tabs and count and see what Bishop Margaret Wanjiru is doing. I may not be prophesying everywhere I go or speaking in tongues everywhere I go, but I will, and I may not be hitting people with the Bible everywhere I go,
Right.
but definitely I will uphold good morals, I will uphold integrity, and I'm going to call the Nairobi County to accountability and to the transparency of the use of resources. I am for zero corruption. Zero corruption.
Does it matter then about those who may be in your company when you talk about party politics?
Yes.
Let's look at party affiliation as well.
Yes.
Does it then matter the people that you stand with,
Yes.
the people who lead the party, the people
Yes.
who lead the coalition,
Yes.
people who are your colleagues in the
Yes.
party that may have had a checkered past? Does it matter how much influence they have on then your image,
Yes.
or is that something not to be considered?
No, it has to be considered. It has to be considered to a certain extent. Kenya has not reached a place, or Kenyan voters, or let's say the real Kenyans, because everybody is a voter. It's only that some decide not to vote and others are voting. But everybody should do their civic duty and vote. But Kenyans have a way of looking at some people because of their popularity, not because of their character. I think we need to bring a paradigm shift between the popularity and the character. That is why you see some people are accepted or they can be sent to create a political agenda because they are a brand in terms of popularity. But if you are to look at the nitty-gritties and look at the character, is a totally different story. So we are still to create that balance between the popularity and the character. And that is why independent candidature is not very popular. If it was, many people would go independent because you want to say, this is who I am, this is what I stand for.
Would
But
you
it's
vote for
not
some
very
of the
popular.
people if you were on the other side of the stage?
Uh-huh.
Would you vote for some of the people who are running for office who are your colleagues in the party today,
They are
based
people
on what
I-
you've just said?
Yes, there are people I would vote for. There are others I would not vote for. Even me, I look at who is this, who is that, can I vote for that one, can I vote for that one? But having said all that, it's good to understand that it also takes time. It takes time for us, the public, to understand us, the leaders. The public takes it now, me, I sit on both ends. It takes time for people to understand the leaders. Like my brother keeps on saying here, being a religious leader, it takes time for people to know the real Bishop Margaret Wanjiru. They have to sit down, listen to my preaching, see where I'm taking them, evaluate my teaching, and see, yes, this is the right track to go. So it takes time for people to understand the character of leaders. And that is why these 5 years gives us an opportunity to change and to remove those that we probably made a mistake in the past.
I think we've spoken a lot about corruption, and it's always touted as one of the main issues that we have. I mean, it's a big thing. But then I would argue that service is also another aspect of things that happen in Nairobi that we just don't see. How do you think you can improve the service aspect?
Oh, service is my line, and I love just doing service delivery to the people. I have a vision for Nairobi Mpya. I have a vision for where things are working in Nairobi. I have a vision for where we have a clean Nairobi. My goodness. You know what? Yes.
You know, when you speak vision, are
Yes.
you political vision or
Both. No, not spiritual vision. Somebody's being too spiritual for me yesterday. I didn't see a vision in the night.
No, not
It's
last
not a
night.
vision
I
saw
just
in the
wanted
night.
to get some clarity.
No, it's not a vision I saw in the night.
Okay.
It's a burden in my heart. A
Okay.
burden in my heart that Nairobi has to change. A burden in my heart that things can get better in Nairobi. Nairobi, we have some areas that are very clean, but yet we have some areas that are filthy, really filthy. You wonder, how do people breathe in this place? And we are saying we have two sides of Nairobi, whereas we have some very good school infrastructure, while in other places we don't even have a public school. So for us to create that equation, that equality amongst the people, we need to be able to give service delivery. Now, service delivery, if we go to garbage, one thing that I always say about garbage, the garbage business must be returned to the youth in the estates and in the villages, in the slums. The people that know where this garbage come from. Then the county can collect the garbage at certain points. Now, those points where garbage is being collected by the county should have dustbins, huge dustbins where this garbage can be dumped. We must stop this habit of dumping garbage on the streets, and everywhere we find some space, you just find garbage there. Now, having said that, so why do we have a problem with garbage in Nairobi? Because we have a very good blueprint on environment, but implementation is lacking. Then we look at the business of garbage as money-making business, not a service delivery. We need to really change our mindset. The next leadership must give service delivery to Nairobi. Now, minus service delivery, I cannot be part of the team. For me, service must be delivered to the people.
What do you think? I mean, even as we're winding down on this, Bishop, what do you think about people who come to a leader who has made them promises before an election, and after an election then has seen that they're not doing what they said they would do in terms of accountability?
Yes.
What do you think ought to happen to such an individual?
If a leader promised and they did not, let's say a leader promised 100% and they did not deliver. In management, we say you do not deliver even 80 to 85%. If even in management you set goals and you are not able to deliver 80 to 80%, you should not be elected. You should not be re-elected.
But
so
here
the
you
leaders who did not deliver in the last election should not be re-elected in this election.
Everybody's telling us about 100 days. In the first 100 days, I will do this, that, or the other thing. If you see in the first 100 days that they've not done what they said they would do, is that not enough time for you to say, okay, we can put forth something that will recall this individual because they're not doing what they said they would?
I think it would be very good if Kenyans can learn how to recall. It would really help us. It would help the leaders to perform. Because also these leaders, sometimes, 100 days are good. But first of all, with all the fatigue and weariness of elections, you will need about 3 days to recover. So 100 days minus 3. So let's give them 97 days. Or let's call it just simple 90 days. Because you also need to settle into office, look at the systems, get orientation. There is that settling in. So let's give it 90 days. The first 90 days, a leader should be able to show and to tell the public, this is the direction we are going. An element that has been ignored by most of the leaders, and I'm looking at the county government of Nairobi, and I will make sure that this is not ignored, is that our constitution gives us the authority to do public participation. That has been totally ignored by most government agencies. Another area that I want to see improvement is on the monitoring and evaluation. If we have monitoring and evaluation agencies, why don't we monitor our progress or even our weaknesses for that matter? Why don't we monitor where we have come from and where we are going? What have we done? What haven't we done? If monitoring and evaluation was being done well, we would not be having the shortcomings that we have.
That we are having. And even as we're coming to the end of this conversation, 7 days to the election, people are still, teeter-tottering. Some have made the decision already about what it's going to be. What would you say is absolutely pertinent for Kenyans to remember from this day going forward?
Going forward, first of all, Kenyans must purpose that there will be no violence. Kenyans must demand. I'm saying the security agencies must act. There should be no violence anywhere in Kenya. If there is any violence, then it means that the government has failed us, not IEBC. IBEC will not fail us on when it comes to security. The security agencies must provide security. That every person votes, and after voting, go home. There is no hanging around. There is no sitting around the voting, the polling stations. Go home. Let the the agents that have been appointed by the parties and by the candidates do their work. Let the IBC do their work. But the police, the government agencies on security must perform. Perform and perform well. Otherwise, wasituongeleshe after elections. Like Nairobi now, I can tell you where are the hotspots. Because, rigging thrives in confusion. Rigging thrives. Even corruption thrives in confusion. So they cause some confusion so that they can rig, so that they can steal. If we have peace and everybody votes under a peaceful atmosphere, believe you me, nobody will be rigged in or rigged out. Indeed. Everybody, all the leaders will win, and it will be a free and fair election. So I find it very unfortunate and very bad for us to demand that IBC should deliver a free and fair election while we are not protecting them. Indeed. We need to protect IBC by giving them enough security.
Good words to end on. Bishop Margaret WANJIRU, a senatorial candidate with the UDA party, thank you for being with us this morning.
Thank you.